The Unfiltered by Jade.
Jade.
Welcome to the Unfiltered by Jade, where we get out of the box and dive into topics that are sidelined. I look forward to entertain, educate, and inspire. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, donate, and make everybody know about this.
Beats by RB Records, a proud sponsor of The Unfiltered by Jade.
Shopping Assistance Jamaica takes the stress away. Our services include online and local shopping in Jamaica for individuals and businesses, personal shopping, purchasing of company and office supplies, importing and exporting small packages across Jamaica and worldwide, helping you to find unique gifts and items for all events and occasions. Contact us at 876-919-5195. Shopping Assistance 2015 at gmail.com. Follow Shopping Assistance on Instagram at Shopping Assist JA, at Twitter at Shopping Assist 5, and Facebook at The Shopping Assistance. Shopping Assistance, your style, your budget. Welcome back to the Unfiltered by Jade. Today we have with us Sophia Bryan, estate and commercial lawyer. She is the host for Driven Woman podcast and Legal Minute podcast. She's an advocate. She's a public policy researcher. She's a business development consultant. She is everything that you want. See, nothing is missing from her.
Oh my god. I feel so
Nothing.
old.
Nothing is missing from you at all. You do it all. You do it all. So, hi, Sophia.
Yes. Hi, Jade. So, I spent so much time. Okay, first of all, I'm just so happy this is my first time being interviewed for a podcast. So I've interviewed other people. Yes. And I'm so happy that I can have a conversation with someone without feeling super self-conscious about my accent.
Yes.
I remember the first time I came to the US, so I thought my accent was flat, right? And then I was in an Uber and this person asked me if I'm Jamaican. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm here making all this effort to not sound too Jamaican because I want people to understand me. And this man could immediately tell that I'm Jamaican. And I was like, wow, waste of effort right there. But I'm just still so, because there's so much judgment that comes with the sound and perception. And then now that I'm living in the States, I feel like all of these voices in my head about perception, what people expect when they look at me, when I open my mouth, and then the stereotypes that they have of Black women, I don't necessarily fit into those boxes. And so they're confused.
Yes.
Where do we put this woman?
Where?
And so I'm just so happy to be on your show.
Yes. Funny thing, Sophia, I have that problem too.
Mm-hmm.
I have that problem because a lot of times I feel like, okay, they won't understand what I'm saying, or they're gonna probably say, "Oh, she sounds too Jamaican," or I'm not gonna fit in. So I also have those little nuances.
And then what comforts me? For me, I interact with people that have different non-American sounding accents. I interact with those people all the time,
right?
And I understand them. And I'm thinking to myself, if I understand them, people are obviously going to understand me also. And so it's dissipating quite a bit. Yes. And I realize that not a lot of people actually speak good English who are in the US. And so I'm like, I need to just own my brilliance. Yes, I sound different, but at least my sentences are properly structured.
Yes.
And there is some clarity there. So Yeah,
Good.
it's still there, but
Not as
I
much
guess
as.
that's life. Yeah.
Not as much
Right,
as.
right. Mhm.
So we're doing
Mhm.
this thing together. Good.
Yeah, yeah.
So today
Mhm.
we're talking about something interesting. It's estate
Mhm.
planning. So
Yes,
tell us,
yes.
what is estate planning?
All right, so Jade, before I go into what is estate planning, I have to say that sure, just a backstory to me, and people are gonna understand why. As you say, I do everything. So
Yes.
my mother, my biological mother, passed away when I was almost 3 years old. I used to say three, but then when I did the
Mm,
math, I realized that I wasn't actually 3 years old at the time.
okay.
And she was young. She died as a young woman.
Wow.
She I was her fifth child, so she had six children. So I'm here two going on three, and my brother was just born. Um, so I thought I got to the point where I would say tell this without getting all emotional. So
Oh
anyhow,
no.
my older sister, who was 16 at the time, who also had a child, a baby, she decided that she was going to stick it out for us. She wasn't gonna
Okay.
leave us, she was gonna fend for us. And so it was my sister, me, my younger brother, and my niece. So it was the four of us for a long time.
Okay.
So when my mother passed away, people, you might be wondering, where's the father?
Right.
Um, so people react to unfortunate events in different ways, and
Yes.
he just didn't respond well to it. That's what I'd say. He didn't respond very well, and thankfully I had my sister,
Right.
who was the main support system for me. And I never imagined that that story would have led me to what I'm doing now. But
Wow.
so understanding, so that I shared that story to say that essay planning, it's not just about something that people who are financially affluent do. It's for everyone, because if someone had said to my mother, who had already owned a home by then, have six children, young, high risk for hypertension,
Mm,
if somebody had said, you have two babies, you might want to think about who will take care of them if
right.
something were to happen to you. And that's an element of an estate plan. So depending on your life circumstances, depending on the assets that you own, it's you taking the time to decide how you'll organize your affairs, so when the inevitable arises,
Right.
for some, it's much earlier, like my mother, much earlier than anticipated, I'm
Yes.
sure. Um, you're okay. The people that you've left behind are okay, or they at least know what your wishes are. So
Yes.
that's what an estate plan is, essentially just an organizing, management, administering your whole affairs, what's your life circumstances. Another aspect of it is, for example, if you are an elderly person or you have an elderly family member that, they have a illness, or they're susceptible to a certain illness. Last year when the C word was
Yes.
rampant,
Yes.
a lot of elderly people were at risk, and so they especially would have needed to put something in place to say, if I do get ill, I want this person
Yes.
to have the authority to do XYZ, to go to the bank, to go to the mortgage company on my behalf. So that's
Yes.
also another aspect of an estate plan, right? So yes, so roundabout way to answer, it's not a one way thing. It looks different for different people.
Interesting. The first time I've learned or had an idea about estate planning or so is when I used to work at the National Land Agency, and they had a lot of
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
coming in. So that's when
Mm-hmm.
I figured how wow it's important. And this is a good topic to have because so many people don't do this. They don't put these
Yeah, they
things
don't do it
out.
because
Yeah.
they're scared. They think that if you talk about death, I was thinking about what would be a more palatable word to say. Maybe it's because I've seen young people go leave sooner than we would
Yes.
want.
Yes.
It's a part of life. Talking about it doesn't increase the likelihood of it happening. It's going to happen. So it's best to be organized. And Jamaican people, they're always fighting over dead left.
Always. Yep. Always.
People always
Always.
fighting over dead left. Like,
Yes.
I'm thinking why people don't just, I mean, everybody knows that the easiest way to circumvent this thing is to just do a will. Do a will and make sure that you have witnesses to the will and that somebody knows where the will is.
Yes.
It's
That's
not that
all.
hard.
Yeah.
That's all, but
You
yeah.
gave the reason. You gave the reason for it. People are afraid of
Mhm.
speaking about death and what's gonna happen. And I'm gonna
Mhm.
tell you, I am one of those persons who I don't
Mm.
like talking about it. When my dad died,
Mhm.
I I
Mm. Oh
we
my God, I
children
didn't
didn't
know
get
that your
anything.
father passed on. I'm sorry to
Yes,
hear that. I did not know
that's
that.
fine. That's fine.
Wow.
Yes. So there was nothing for us kids. We got
Oh.
nothing. Exactly. So what this why I'm saying
Oh.
this is important for people to know. To prevent people fighting over things, although sometimes it don't stop it, but there is a document to say this is what
Mhm.
should happen. So that is
Mhm.
important. It's important. People
Mhm.
suffer from these things, man. So yes,
Wow.
Jade, you need to
Yeah.
do these things.
Yes, and you have three babies. You have three babies, so you need to.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, in your situation, your husband, it's for married people, it's a little bit different. As I said, for each person, the circumstances are different. So your
Yes.
will would in turn influence his will, vice
Yes.
versa,
Yes.
and but yeah, you have three babies and a husband. Hello,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes. All right. Preach. Yes, miss. Preach. All right. So, what is the process of estate planning?
All right, great question. So, the process involves a great deal of self assessment. It involves you sitting down, taking a pen and a piece of paper, taking a note of who are my loved ones, who are the people I
Okay.
care for, and want to ensure that they benefit from the legacy that I've built for myself or I'm in the process of building. So once you've gone through that process, then you're going to say, what do I have at this moment? Is it, do you have tangible assets? Do you have intangible assets? Where are they located? What bank? Is there a home in the midst? Who is the mortgage company? Or if the home is already cleared off, the mortgage is already cleared off, where is the duplicate certificate of title? Where is the title for the home? Insurance policy, where are the actual physical insurance policy documents? Because for some companies, clear throat backward people in Jamaica,
Mm-hmm.
backward companies in Jamaica require you to have the certificate. Where are those
Mm,
located? So you, all of that needs to be documented, and then you're going to also think about who do I trust, um, to have. Fortunately for you, you have a husband already who would be the
yes.
automatic per point of reference. But
Yes.
I give you a joke. There are some people who are not necessarily in loving marriages,
Oh dear.
and they may not want their spouse to have total control over everything that
Mm-hmm.
they're doing. And this is where your attorney comes in, because they're going to create that safe space for you to discuss all your circumstances and determine what the best uh, route is in terms of distributing and managing what you have.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm happy that you pointed out that some people are not in loving
Yeah,
marriages.
yeah,
So
yeah,
anything is
yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
happen.
So they kind of have to be strategic. You're not being sneaky, or you're getting the best advice possible for your situation,
For the
and
situation.
you have to protect yourself. We can, I mean, we don't have to go far to hear about instances where couples have been estranged, partners have been estranged, and they get nothing at the end of the day.
Oh
um
yes.
there's so many things like that, but if they they had thoroughly thought about it, they would have done something to protect themselves in the event that something happens. One of the
Yes.
main things, I mean, people, everything can be used for good and bad, right?
Yes.
So an insurance policy is very important. I remember watching a YouTube video recently where this woman was in, this is an American scenario. They're married for years, and this man was the sole breadwinner of the family. The wife stayed at home, managed the home, took care of the children, and she they didn't have insurance. They didn't
Oh
have
wow.
insurance. The wife didn't have any skills beyond high school,
Oh
and
wow.
so this man just died,
Oh
and there
wow.
was nothing. They were
Oh
struggling.
wow.
So if she had gone to an attorney at some point, about, you get what I'm saying? A lawyer would have
Yes.
said something, or okay, we have babies. How can we do investment? Or even if a financial advisor, actually, I'm sure
Yes.
this is something that would have even come up with a financial advisor. Do you have a will?
Yes.
Insurance, the basics, like that's the bare minimum.
Yes.
And even if you're in a bad situation, you need to have at least have insurance on both sides, so that either party is taken care of if one, there's a demise earlier than expected.
Yes.
um
I was gonna ask if this is something mandatory to do, but I think we already know from all that we have been said in before.
Well, I will say you don't have to do it, but trust and believe the government, they can find very various things to do with your assets and to do, they have use for it. So if you wanna, and they don't mind benefiting from it. If you want to pay the government to manage your estate for you, then you don't have to do anything. They'll sort it
So
out.
basically, she's saying it's important to do it. Oh, so what if someone passed without having? I mean, again,
Mm-hmm.
you have touched on it, that if someone passed without doing estate planning, what happens? As you said, the
Mm-hmm.
governments can
Right. The
take over stuff.
fighting. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
The family
So
fighting.
right, family and friends.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And people feeling entitled. I mean, nobody,
Yes.
you don't know what the relationship really was like, or what the person really thought of you.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so how can you say I was supposed to get this and that?
Hmm.
But there are certain rules that are already established, certain laws that guide, depending on what the person has. The government will sort it out, and that delays the process significantly. More court fees, or more legal fees, because the court will have to make a determination as to basically trying to process what the person would have done if
Oh
they were
boy.
alive. And then there's already a hierarchy in place, so husband, children, niece, nephew, and everybody after that. And what if the husband and wife, they weren't in a good situation before the person passed on, but based on what the law says, they're supposed to get a significant portion. What if that person would have preferred to give some of their money away to a charitable cause, or to to their grandchildren in a trust, or donate it, uh,
Yeah.
to a
Yeah. Yeah.
school, you know? So what if they would have preferred to do that? They kind of, the opportunity to do that
Has
passes.
gone. Yep.
Yeah, it's no longer there. Yeah.
That's something. How often should we do or conduct reviews on your estate?
Mm-hmm. Wow, that really depends on how much activity is going on in the person's life. So if you get divorced and remarry, you definitely have to redo a will, because a divorce in most jurisdictions revokes a previous will. So you need to evaluate, reevaluate if because you may wanna the ex may still you may still want them to have something,
Okay.
even if they're divorced, so it's not always because you need to write the person out. Maybe children are involved and you still want the ex to be taken care of, I'm just saying
Oh,
there are practical
fortunate.
reasons for it.
That's
I'm
a
just
great
saying.
divorce.
For whatever reason, but it doesn't, so there's that. If you get more assets and the assets aren't already taken care of, uh
Mm-hmm.
with other systems that you have set up, then you need to redo a will. So one of the prep questions you had asked me was about a trust. So say for instance, if you purchase a car
Yes.
and the car is under the name of the trust already,
Yes.
then you would necessarily need to redo it, because you already made provisions for everything that's operating under that trust already.
Right.
So
Right.
not to get too technically, but it just depends on how the initial situation was organized.
Yes.
If your will already speaks to there being a trust, um that it would all depend on that. And then sometimes you want to take people out of your will,
Mm-hmm.
or somebody dies, and you or executor moves overseas and you can't find them. So you need to ensure that a reliable person is available. Several
Yes.
things could happen that would cause you to want to evaluate your will. Or, you get married, finally.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
get married and you need to add the spouse to the will. So several things could
Several
happen.
things. Okay.
Yeah.
Can a third party challenge an estate planning court?
Yeah, I mean, people do it all the time. Listen, when, people are free to do anything they want to do, whether or not
Exactly.
whether or not they're successful is a different story. People challenge rules all the time, especially if there's more than one, which is why dates are important, and which is
Yes.
why um it's never, I don't recommend that people try to do a form, because things like dates and all of those things can get messed up. And that's
Okay.
why you have a witness, and hopefully the witness also reading
Mm-hmm.
whatever them signing, you know what I mean, and paying attention to dates, so people can challenge things. And but if they're gonna do that, that's where the court comes into play. And the court would look at the person's mental capacity. Was there undue influence? um
There must be.
yeah, right. For them to want to revoke a previous will. And again, the same thing about not knowing the perception that somebody has of you. If
Right.
you are supposed to be in the will and then you're taken out, and then you're thinking, how comes?
How
But at the end of the
comes?
day, it's not your things. You know what I'm. Oh my gosh, I have to share this story. So there's this movie called Heartbreaker. It came out in
Okay.
2001, and these are just, it's a story, a movie about women that they just get married to wealthy men for just for the purpose of getting their money.
Okay.
And so they found a target, and it was he had a housekeeper that had been with him for 7 years. And so the gentleman tries to kiss the girl, and she was just repulsed by him. And the
Right.
housekeeper said, you're that repulsed by him. And she said, I've seen many women come and go, but I'm watching you. And then she says, I've been here 7 years and I'm not leaving until I get my cut.
That's right.
So, and it, And it was an old man, so she's there waiting, just waiting for him to kick the bucket.
Yep.
She was
Waiting.
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 She's like, I've been here for 7 years and I'm not leaving till I get my cut. And sure enough, the savvy gold digging
Right.
girl found a way to get rid of her.
Oh no, God. Oh no. Oh no.
So that's
Yeah.
a funny movie. Yeah. So people are pining over things that don't belong to them. It
That's
makes
funny.
no sense. Yeah,
Even
it's
e- even
crazy.
even even how you say it, people are pining over things that don't belong to them. It's sad. It's sad. Sure. What is a revocable living trust? And
All right.
sorry, how does it relate
Mm.
to estate planning, right?
Okay, so not to get too technical, so a trust is it's just a way to provide for someone, um but there are limitations attached to it.
Okay.
Um, so it's a pool of money or assets, and you indicate who will have access to it and under what circumstances they're going to have access to it. So there are
Right.
instances where it can be done in such a way where you can change your mind about whether it be the amount or whether it be the context under which a person gets it. Those old movies where they say the trust fund baby can't get the money until he's 35
Right.
and married.
Right. Yes.
And so
Right.
there's a
Right.
rush to get married before
Yes.
the
Yes.
35th birthday.
Yep.
Right. So those things can be finite, or it can be done in such a way where it can be adjusted during the
Okay.
life of the person that does it.
Mm.
And for another fun fact to share with the listeners about trust is that there are ways to fund a trust. So that means you're going to be thinking about ways in which money will constantly be generated in the thing. So
Right.
think long-term investments, long-term, whether it be stocks, whether it be whatever the instrument is, that
Yes.
principal that's invested is never touched. And that's actually how a lot of institutions, like in DC, we have the Smithsonian, and people are able to go to museums for free. We're able to do that
Mm.
because those people way back when they invested the money, and then they're able to run these places off of the surplus, the
Of their
interest. So that, yeah.
nice.
hmm so, and all of that, it depends on, just which is why it's called a plan, estate plan, because it's different people are able to do that based on their spending power, based on what they have. Other people do different things. Other people spend their time working on real estate, so they'll buy a lot of properties and use them as rentals, and so a part of the upkeep comes from the proceeds of the rental. So different people do different things to prepare for their future generations. It's just unfortunate that there comes a question as to, oh, if I do this, then I'm entitled to this. For
Yes.
some reason, it's hard to come to a compromise or an agreement when other people are involved. But
Yes.
then that's why people, sometimes, I'd say, for seniors who are in those situations, sometimes you just have to just have to make decisions based on expert advice and kind of take emotion out of it. I remember a friend of mine, I was recently having a conversation with him, and he was talking about the fact that his mom left China for him, but the sister felt as though she should have gotten the China. And she just made it incredibly difficult for him to get the China. And what
Wow.
he did was to get an invoice for it and tell her that she's gonna have to replace it.
That's right.
And when she saw the invoice, and all of a sudden the China just appeared. So
Yep.
people will feel some sort of way about different things. And even when you do put a plan in place, sometimes human beings, we can be very problematic sometimes. People will still fight, but at least if it comes to the test, if they go before the court, there is something to say. This is what the person intended, this is
Right.
what they asked to be done,
Yes.
and the court can make an order where people are being difficult.
So in all, in just to summarize everything, what it
Mm-hmm.
means is that parents, people nowadays, everybody now needs to start doing things or having assets to leave for the people after them, their
Yes,
kids.
that's what I see for my Caribbean, my Jamaicans. Yes, please.
Yes.
This is not just a thing that rich people do. Everybody needs to do it. You
Yeah.
know,
And
yeah, everybody needs to do it. Thank God. I mean, if my mother had bought a house, um, I don't know. We would have been homeless. I don't know who would have taken us in. Honestly, like as I tell him, my father just check out, and I
oh
have I have
boy.
a lot of aunts and uncles, but these people are just scattered all over the place.
Yes.
I heard, thank God for Facebook. You know what I mean? So people really
Right.
need to think about these things, and I really want Jamaicans are so notorious for this pressuring people to have
Mm-hmm.
children. And
Yes.
you know what the irony is? The last time a man said to me, was trying to have a conversation with me about my own body parts, right?
Wow.
He had the nerve to say to me that I should make sure that I have the means to take care of the child on my own. So
Wow.
I'm thinking to myself, you're suggesting to me that I do it alone, or I
Mm-hmm.
should be prepared to do it
Do it
alone.
alone,
Just,
basically.
yeah. So how that makes sense?
Makes no sense.
How does that make sense? How am I, if I'm gonna have to do it alone? If I'm gonna have to prepare to do it alone, what am I mean, it takes money to live. Hello, you
You
think
better believe.
dating expensive, living
Listen,
living is
listen,
expensive.
listen,
So
listen.
doing it for
Uh,
2 persons on my own, why would you recommend to me that I
yes,
do that?
why? Remember,
Why?
it's a
Please
state of
stop
mind for some
it.
people. It's a state of mind of how people think. And you can see in Jamaica, it happens so often. It happens so often,
Mm-hmm.
and the kids are left without anything, and sometimes even to do a will, say a will is done or something is
Mm-hmm.
done, and there are things left. As you said before, people are still arguing over these things. People are still
Mm-hmm.
fussing no because they think that they should have gotten it. And they're the eldest, or they're the youngest, or they're the middle ones, or they're whoever it
Mm-hmm.
is. And it's sad that we have this situation where people die, parents die, grandparents die, whoever, there is nothing there to say, okay, take care of me. People, I know people looking
Mm-hmm.
for documents all over the place, can't find where they put the documents. it's
Mm-hmm.
a, it's it's um it's stressful to do that
Yeah.
when people don't
Yeah.
put things in place. I'm talking to myself, so it's stressful when it is that people don't put these things in place because we're afraid of hearing the word death, and we're afraid of, if I do this now, does it mean that it's gonna be my time soon? Um,
Mm.
or because they feel like, okay, if they do it, then it means that they're preparing to
Mhm.
die. And the truth is, as you
Mm.
said in the beginning, anything can happen at any time and take anybody's
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
And we just
Yeah.
have to be
Truly.
prepared, for what comes out. And especially when people have kids, you have to be prepared
Yeah.
to what's going to happen to the kids after. You don't want your kids to be
Yeah.
struggling, or you don't want people to be fighting over a house, and who decide to cut the house in half because this part is mine, and actually
Mhm.
it's a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
lot. It's a lot. And I would definitely recommend and stress on the fact that people need to have wills. People need to write wills. Jade, you need to do something about this. And anybody out there is listening, it's so important. It's
Yeah, yeah,
important.
yeah. It really is. And I forgot that I didn't normally to disclaimer. Nothing I say here is legal advice. This is just public education, y'all. Please go do your research and speak to your attorney. And if you wanna
That's right.
speak to me, go to sophiabryan.com
Right. I
if
was
you'd
just
like an
about to tell. I
opportunity to
was
chat
just
to
about
me.
to say, tell them where to find you, ma'am.
Yes, yes. So just go to my website, Sophia, that's
Mm-hmm.
SOPHIABRYAN, sophiabryan.com. And there you'll find my contact information. And
Mm-hmm.
the first, I offer a 50-minute call, complimentary call to any prospective client. It's
Mm-hmm.
not to give advice, it's really just to hear what your unique situation is and if I'm
Yes.
in a position to help because people have complex things. And initially, I was very torn as to the area of law that I'd want to focus on, and I realized that estate planning resonates so much with just my journey to know, and I've
Yes.
decided that that's the primary area that I want to focus on. And sometimes, which is why I do the public education videos on my social media, because I want to trigger something in people to
Yes.
say, okay, let me prioritize this area of my life now, especially because young professionals, people are getting towards their goals faster,
Right.
and you need to be organized, so I'm hopefully this conversation is triggering you to get yourself
Yes.
organized, speak to an attorney, do the process that I suggested, think about your loved ones and think about what you have and what you hope to have, and how you ensure that these people that rely on you, they're gonna
Are
be
taken care
okay.
of.
If something were to happen to you. Yeah.
Yes. So thank you so much, Sophia, for being on the
You are
podcast.
welcome.
I mean, I've learned.
Yes.
This is probably something that
Yay.
I really didn't want to talk about with before, but I
Mm.
think you have made it. You have pointed out the importance of it and how
Yeah, and
vital
it
it is
doesn't sound so
really.
scary now, right?
Yeah, because you see,
Hopefully.
you use better words. If you don't use those nice words, it would then sound a bit
Yeah.
scarier. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
really how people,
Yeah.
it's how people hear it. It's how they hear it and how they
Mhm.
take it. So you hear it a particular when it
Mhm.
sounds this way and it's this
Yeah.
is not something I want to do. So when you hear it in this particular way, it doesn't seem so dark. It
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah, it doesn't
It's
seem so
actually
dreary.
light. You're actually spreading light because you're the love that you have for yourself and those around you, that's what's causing you to actually think about their best interest. So it's
Most
actually light.
definitely.
Yeah.
Most
Hmm.
definitely. So thank you again for being on the podcast and thank you guys for
You're
listening.
welcome.
Yes. Thank you guys for listening to the Unfiltered by Jade, and we'll be back next week, Tuesday.